hello everyone, let us solve another LeetCode problem, and the problem name is merge intervals. So let us read the problem statement first. So you are given an array of intervals where interval of I is start value and end value. So this is nothing but the start value and end value of this current interval. Now your task is to merge all the overlapping intervals, and in the end you need to return an array of non-overlapping intervals that covers all the intervals that are given in the input. Now what the question says, let us understand with the help of this first example and try to find some solution out of it. So this is the first example that they have given, and I have drawn the test case of that here. So the first example input are given as 1, 3, 2, 6, 8, 10 and 15, 18. So this is the input of the first example. Now I have drawn these input intervals here so that we can have a clear understanding and visualization of this first example itself. Now what the question is saying? The question is saying that you are given some intervals. So these are the intervals that they have given. Now there can happen a case where two intervals might overlap. For example, this first interval 1, 3 and second interval 2, 6, they are overlapping. So you can see that they are overlapping at this point. Now if such case happens, so if there is an overlap, so what you need to do? You need to merge those intervals. Now how will you merge these intervals? So you can see that 1, 3 and 2, 6 are merging. So after merging, your interval should become 1, 6. So it should become 1, 6. So this is the merged interval. Now what you need to do? For all those overlapping intervals, you need to merge, and in the end you need to return all the merged intervals that are possible. So for example, this is not overlapping with anyone, so this itself is a merged interval. So this is also a non-overlapping interval, so this is also a single merged interval. This was overlapping with this one, so we merged them and we created a new merged interval. So in this example, our output would be 1, 6, 8, 10 and 15, 18. So this is the output. So let us see if this is the output given in the example also or not. So 1, 6, 8, 10 and 15, 18. So yeah, it matches with our output as well. So this is what we need to do. But the question is, how will we do it? So let us see now. First of all, the question is, how will we iterate over the interval? Now in this case, it is a very simple example. So let me give you the same example in some different format. So let's say we are given the same input but the order is different. 8, 10. Let's say, let me just rewrite this. Yeah, 2, 6 and 15, 18. So let's say if we are given this input. Now how will you iterate? So first interval is 1, 3. So you will come here. Second interval is 8, 10. So you will come here. But wait, you forgot about this interval. So there is something that we are missing here. That was correct in this example but not correct in this example. So what the catch is that in this first example, the example is already given in the sorted format. And I have just taken some random arrangement which is unsorted. So for have a clear picture of how we should iterate over this interval, what we will do is we will first sort the intervals based on that starting value. So first what we will do, sort on basis of start value. Now why we are doing it? So that we can iterate in series of the starting value. So just to have a clear picture of how we are iterating here, we are just sorting the intervals based on their starting values, nothing else. So this will be our first step. Now what's the next step? So our next step would be to traverse the entire intervals. Now what we will do, we will traverse the interval. So after sorting, let's say we are currently at this position, so we are starting our iteration from here. So 1 comma 3 is the first interval, so you come here. Now obviously there is nothing previous to it, so you take this as your temporary interval and you try to merge it with some overlapping interval if possible. So what would be the next interval? So next interval is 2 comma 6. So you come to here 2 comma 6. Now this is your current iterator that you are pointing on, and this is the previous merged interval that you have so far. So let me just write it here. Temp is 1 comma 3 and your iterator current here is 2 comma 6. Now what is the condition for overlap? How will you decide these two intervals are overlapping or not? Now it is obvious. If the starting value of your iterator is less than or equal to the ending value of your current merged interval, what I am saying, if the starting value, if start value, what is start value? Start value is nothing but it of 0. If this it of 0 is less than or equal to merged interval's last value, so what is that? That is nothing but temp of 1. So if this is the scenario, then we can say that yes, in this case the intervals are overlapping. So what's the next step? You need to merge them. So if there is an overlapping, you need to merge them. So we have identified how the overlap case will happen based on this if condition. Now if there is an overlap, you need to merge those intervals. Now how will you merge those intervals? Let us see. So let us see how to merge now. So you need to change the start value and end value in order to merge the interval. But wait, you don't need to actually change the start value. Why? Because start value is already in the sorted format. So if you are currently in this interval and if it is overlapping it with your previous interval, you don't need to change the start value, because start value will be already of the merged interval will be always lesser than this current value, because we have already sorted them in the on the basis of their start value. So you don't need to change the start value. So to merge, you need to only change the end value. Now how will you change the end value? So let us take this example only. So your temp of 1 is 3 and your it of 1 is 6. So you will say okay, so to merge, so we will just change temp of 1 equal to it of 1. So you will say okay, so if you merge them, you will get our answer as start value will remain same 1 and the end value will now become it of 1. It of 1 is 6. So you say okay, your merged interval is 1 comma 6, and if you look at this, so yes, your merged interval should be 1 comma 6. But wait, it is wrong. Why it is wrong? Because you don't know where the end value of this merged interval will end. You are assuming that this end value will always be greater than this end value, but it cannot be true always, because it can happen that your start value is starting from here and this can go up to 7. It can also happen. We have just sorted them on the basis of start value, not the end value. So what you need to take to merge the interval, to change the end value, you will just take so it was temp of 1. So you need to change temp of 1 to maximum of what? Maximum of temp of 1 and it of 1. So whatever maximum you get, either you will get it of 1 as maximum value, or you will get merge of or temp of 1 as your maximum value. So whatever maximum you get, you will replace your end value with that. So now in this case it was this and this value, and it was this value and this value. So in this case it will remain same, it will remain 1 comma 6 only, but there can be possibility that this case can also occur. So for that we are taking the maximum of either the current merged interval's last value or current iterator's last value. So this is how you will merge the intervals. So this was about the drawing explanation. So let us see the code now and understand in more better way. So let us see the code now. So this is the temporary or the current merged interval that we are iterating on. This is the resultant of all the non-overlapping intervals that we need to return in the end. And now our algorithm starts. So this was the first step to sort on the basis of start value. So we have just sorted them on the basis of start value, and our current merge interval will be interval of 0, obviously, because there is nothing previous to this interval of 0. So this will be our first merged interval. Now we'll be iterating on all the intervals to check for the overlap condition and to merge them if possible. So we are iterating on the intervals. So let us take the same example only. So 1,3 was there, and what was that? It was 2,6, I think. Yes, 2,6. So these were the two intervals that were happening in the overlapping condition. So let us see. So this is the current merged interval temp, and let's say we have iterated here. Now we are pointing to here. So this is our IT, or the current interval that we are iterating on. Now first we will see the overlapping condition. So this is the overlapping condition. So what we are checking, if this IT of 0, so IT of 0 is what? IT of 0 is 2. If this IT of 0 is less than temp of 1, so what is temp of 1? Temp of 1 is 3. So temp of 1 is 3. So if this is the case, if IT of 0 is less than temp of 1, that means it is an overlap. So we will now merge the intervals. Now how will we merge the intervals? The starting value of the merged interval will remain same as we have already sorted, so it will remain 1 only. Now the question is, what will be the ending value? Either this will be the ending value or this will be the ending value. So how we will do it? We will just take maximum of both, because it can happen that this might end here, but this may go up to some bigger value as well, and it can happen that this remains here and this will go to some larger extent. So what will be the best possible scenario? It will be covering here. So what we will do, to change the end value of the merged interval, we will just take maximum of IT of 1 and temp of 1. So this is what I have written here. This will just merge the intervals, and if it is not merging, we will just push the current merged interval and take the current interval as new merged interval, and this will keep on going until we reach the end of the array. And in the end, whatever current interval we are iterating on, we will just push them into our final answer, and we will just return that. So this was about the explanation of the code. So let us now talk about the time and space complexity. So time complexity will be, we are sorting, so it will take n log n, and obviously we are iterating on the entire array, so O of n, and space we are using is, in the worst case, it will be O of n. So space will be O of n only, and time complexity will be O of n log n plus O of n for iteration. So this is the time and space complexity. So hope you learned from this video. Thank you.